Magic makers. I have another client interview for you today, and I'm so pumped because this little one, I have been with her since the very beginning of her fitness journey. She was a science geek, just like, were you finishing grad school when I met you?
I
Or
was
about
working at Brown University. I was trying to get into grad school.
you're trying to get
Yeah.
into grad school to be a nerd. And then she also was she was a college level gymnast. And then she was like, hey, I like being a gymnast. What else can you do? She stumbled across fitness competitions. That's how our paths crossed. And I am just so grateful to introduce you to Miss Angela Gargano. Angela, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited about this.
I know. So I miss her. Like, she lived down the street pretty much. And now she's like, world traveler all over the place. So Angela, let's just catch people up. I assume everyone knows who you are. And
I don't know.
I assume, I'm like, everyone knows who she is. She was on frickin' TV and not for bad things. How many seasons were you on American Ninja Warrior? 2, 3?
Actually, was on 4 times.
Shut up.
Believe it or not. Yeah, 4 times for American Ninja Warrior.
Awesome. And so I remember when you first told me, you're like, I think I'm going to try out for Ninja. And I was like, you are? And I'm like, well, crazier things have happened. What made you decide to try out for Ninja?
Well, it was interesting because I felt like there was a couple of other people around me who were trying out for it. And I honestly didn't even know what it was. I don't even watch TV. Like, I don't even have cable. Like, I don't even know what it was. But people were saying to me, like, I was a college gymnast. So they were saying, oh, you were a bar specialist. It's actually probably really fun for you. So I threw in the video just kind of like on a whim. Like, my friend basically kind of forced me into it because, what you might hear, like a lot of stuff on these journeys that I did have is like, I had a lot of like self-doubt, didn't think I was good enough, didn't think I could do, didn't think I was enough to be like, they're like, I'm like, why would they want somebody, this random girl, I was living in Rhode Island, like, why would they want me? So I loved having the people around me kind of push me to be like, no, we see something in you and you should just do that. Like, just try it. What do you have to lose?
Right.
So I put in the video, and when I put in the video, I really didn't expect anything. And I was actually at a fitness competition when I got the call, and I was like, why is this 818 number calling me? I was like getting so annoyed, and I thought it was like spam. And it was the call from Ninja being like, oh, you're on the show. And ever since being on the show, is just, I started to fall in love with the sport, and not only the sport, but really the community, the people that are in there are just really great people.
Yeah. I mean, cause it's like, to do Ninja, like, you have to like it's similar to fitness competitions. Like, you have to be around people who get it, who like understand that the training is just more, it is physical, but it's more mental, like, because it's all the challenges of like, okay, I missed the bar this time, but how do I psych myself up in the next 20 seconds to get back on the bar again?
Yeah. Or like when I first started doing it, it's like, I thought I was strong, right? I really thought I was strong. And then, I have the coach being like, okay, I want you to go from this side. And this thing, something called a cliffhanger. It's like just a little piece of wood. You have to like kind of walk your hands over on it. He's like, go from this side to the other side. That's your goal for the next week. And I'm like, the next week, like, I'm going to do that like today. And it was humbling to go on there and be like, oh man, I can't get across it. And then to show up every single day and see the improvements and to feel muscles you never felt before. So yeah, definitely a cool sport. Again, very humbling, but always challenging yourself and getting you excited to show up to the gym. And that's ultimately what you need to do when you're working out. Like, you need to be excited to show up, right?
Well, this is what you just said 2 things that I absolutely loved. And I think many women on their journeys forget that it's every single day you are going to improve. Are you going to walk that wall like the next day? No, but like, maybe you don't fall off like the first time you hit to that 3rd rung. Maybe you like stay on for an extra second or 2. So it's like these little tiny improvements that you start to see that you're like, whoa, I am making improvements.
Yeah, exactly. And it's that thing that, I was just talking to somebody about this morning, actually. It's like that thing that you kind of think it's impossible to at first. Like, you look at it, like, you're like, I'm not going to be able to do that. Like, that's just not going to happen. And then when you finally do, again, after continuing, I mean, the really biggest thing for everything you do is consistency. You just keep showing up every single day and you get a little bit better. There's going to be that day you do it. And then once you make it there, it's like, wow, there's so many other things that seemed impossible that actually might be possible for me. And it's not just for working out. It's
Yeah.
for life stuff. Like you might be like, wow, maybe I can quit my job. Maybe I can do this, like because you did that one little thing. So I just think it's super powerful.
Yeah. And, and I love that you said that, because it's like, let's go back to your journey. Like when you were like on the task to like go into science, and you're like, "Oh, well, I like gymnastics. Maybe I'll try this one little thing." And you try this one little thing and you're just like, holy shit, like, this is fun. I love this, and it's like, but could I make money? Could this be
Right.
like, you start like, you kind of start to think in your head, and like those, like, you were like, and like you said, the doubts start like, I don't know if I can make money. I should just stick with science. I know I can make money with science. I've seen people do it. It's a path. It's kind of like our parents want us to have like a career plan.
Yes. They want me to have the career plan, the benefits, like all the stuff. I get it. And I get it. I totally appreciate that. Like my mom cared about me that much to really want to see me succeed, in her eyes of like what she's doing. I'm also happy that now, I mean, it's taken her a while to see, oh, this is a different generation and a different way that you can do things. And she's been supportive along the whole process, even if she didn't like fully understand it. Again, she might've thrown those like shots out there, like, what are you doing? Are you sure you want to do this? Stuff like that, which is fine. But I feel like that's just like the care that she had in there for me. But I had the same thoughts that like, I was sitting there like, actually, when she's like, can you afford to do this? And I'm like, no, like not really actually, but like, what I've noticed over and over again is a lot of times you just kind of figure it out. Like you get thrown to the wolves and you figure it out. You figure out how you want to do it. Like how bad do you want it? How bad do you actually want to do that thing? And it's so interesting thinking about going back to the beginning, because going back to the beginning, you were definitely like, yeah, you were my first coach, like technically my first coach ever after like gymnastics, right? I came from college gymnastics. And the reason I found like fitness competitions was because I was itching for like, I didn't have a community anymore after college gymnastics. I didn't have a coach. Like I was going into a gym and I was just really honestly, like, I hated the gym so much. Like I would walk in and I'm like, I don't want to, like, people are looking at me like, this is weird. No one's talking to each other. Like my coach is like, hey, you got to work for a routine. I'm literally was just in the gym, like looking around, like what I had no idea
what do normal people do here.
Yeah. I'm like, what? I'm like, and then I'm like, this is not fun. Like, I'm not having fun. Like, this is just whatever. So I was super grateful. Like, it was definitely eye-opening at first to have a coach and have somebody have a plan, but it was so great to like have somebody each week be like, hey, like, did you get this done? Did you get that done? And I know for you, a lot of times you were telling me like, basically you're making excuses. And I was like, I needed somebody to give me the tough love to be like, you're making excuses. Like there's always going to be something else. It's like more important than that, but like, you have to make time for it.
Yeah. And, I think that's where, you face it too, when you work with clients, is that I feel like most of people, the biggest excuse for anybody, I don't care your age, I don't care, kids, no kids, time. It's always, I don't have time. And it's part, I think, in our head, we think that I have to be at the gym for X amount of hours a week or X amount of times a week. But you just like you said with Ninja, like I just have to show up. And even some days you might just go there and you might stretch.
Yeah.
But you showed up.
It's getting there at first. I was thinking about the other day because I mean, I definitely feel like I'm sure all of us, this is like the beginning of the new year. I kind of fell out of my routine a little bit like these past couple of weeks because I've just been traveling and doing things. And I used to make myself like, feel guilty about it. Now I don't. Now I'm like, this is natural. There's going to have like ebbs and flows along the whole journey. But yeah, it's just like the other day I just showed up to the gym. I just put it on my calendar. I said, I'm going to go there. Did I do anything? I did a crazy extensive workout? No, but I got there. And that's the win. So definitely looking at those small little wins is so important. Everybody wants it to be like all together and easy right away. And it's just like, that's just not how it works.
No. And, I'll admit, I was that person. I had to have a 2-hour workout. And if I couldn't do a 2-hour workout, why go? And now there's been times that I just have showed up to the gym and I foam rolled and I left.
Yeah. It's just the ability, it's just getting there. It's like, and it's just getting there and like telling yourself like, that was my time that I committed to myself. Like that was it. The walk, whatever. That's what, and especially once I'm learning now, obviously, that I'm become an entrepreneur. It's like people, you leave the 9 to 5 so that you're not working 9 to 5. When you work for yourself, you work all the time.
Yes.
So you work all the time. You're always working. You're always on it. So to find that getaway and that divide is so important for me. So making sure that I do block it out is actually more important than when I did have the 9 to 5. When I did have the 5, honestly, and I don't want to say this to like, to look down upon anybody, but like, it was actually easier for me to go to the gym when I worked a 9 to 5, because I worked the 9 to 5. I didn't have to go back in. Right. I just, after that, I went to the gym, I did my thing, and I didn't have to think about it. Now, when you own your own business, you think about it all the time.
Right. There's like, when there was someone who told you like, this is when you show up and this is when you leave, and you're like, okay. And then when it's you, you're like, well, I got a little downtime, so I'm going to squeeze this in. And then you think it's going to take you 20 minutes. Next, 2 hours later, you're still like heads down working on something.
Still head down working on it. You're still like, oh, I'm like, oh, wow, it's midnight. I'm not supposed to be doing this. Damn it. Like, exactly. It's like, okay, cool. Now I got to establish some boundaries for myself. But that's definitely the biggest thing. The other thing that was really important for me when I first started training with you and with a trainer was just like, again, having something in front of me that I like could just follow, because the last thing I wanted to do was to think about what I need to do. Like, I didn't want to think about it. Like, I just wanted to have it be in front of me. The last thing I want to do is going on Instagram looking for random things to do or write out my own plan. I just want to show up and have it done.
Yeah. And it's funny because like people will say to me, they're like, Kim, you're a coach, you're a trainer, you've been doing this for years. Why do you work with someone else? And I was like, because there's certain things I will never program for myself. I will never program myself to do like burpee pull-ups. I will never program that for myself. But if it's in front of me and that's what I'm supposed to do, I will roll my eyes, but I will still do it.
Yeah, you need somebody to roll your eyes to. Absolutely. I mean, I still have a trainer now. Like, I always find somewhere to like have a trainer, or at least like I'll go to a class. But I had a trainer in Boulder. And he trained me 2 times a week, and he trained me my legs because I avoided my legs like the plague, because I've torn both of my ACLs, and I hate doing them. It's hard. It's like they don't want to work. So I need that person who I'm in there and I'm like kind of annoyed at, but then also like later on, I'm like, oh, okay, this is why I'm still functioning.
Right. You're grateful. Right. You're grateful that, it's the person who makes you eat your broccoli. Like, you're grateful, like you don't want to eat the broccoli, but you're grateful after, because you're like, these are things I would never do.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you definitely need it. I feel like the accountability of having someone there is just like huge. And whether that be like online or whether that be like in person, like every time that I have that, like I'm more likely to show up and do the things that I don't want to do, the things that are hard. And those things that are hard are normally the things that you really need to do.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. For sure. So, like you said, we worked together for several years. And so what would you think are some of like the biggest results that you had from working with me?
Well, first of all, I think at first I definitely went a little crazy.
Everyone does.
At first I went a little crazy. I mean, I think I was like, I was pretty on it at first. And then I think I leaned out a lot, like kind of quickly, because I was coming from college and I was eating like pizza, ice cream, whatever. And then it was finally like my body was like, vegetables. Yes. I was so excited to have all those things. So I think at first, I leaned out really, really quickly, which we found out, which was great, that we were like, this is probably too much. And then we started like adding stuff into it. So I think that one of the best results was, first of all, leaning out to that point, because I had never been that lean before. And then figuring out how, okay, now let's figure this out. We obviously need more food. We need this. And then feeling like, oh, like I don't really have to think too much about my food anymore. So that was like really helpful. And like, I felt like a really great result of it. I think another great result was, again, me actually showing up for myself. There's so many times where I had excuses, or I would message you and be like, this and that happened. And you would kind of, again, have that tough love. But I feel like you want the tough love that, I think some people, I don't know, for me, I don't want a coach who's going to just be like, it's okay. Like, like whatever. I want them to understand, but I want them to be tough on me because I know they care about me. It's not like they're being tough on me because they're being like an a-hole. Like they're being tough because they are like, no, you can do this. Like, I know you can do this and I want to push you. So, I feel like showing up for myself was like a big, factor, with that. I definitely was like, super strong with everything. The consistency was like super major with it. But yeah, I think those couple things were like really, really game changers and really set the foundation and the base for what I'm doing now. Like if I didn't have that, then I don't think I would be like where I'm at now with like my body and all the stuff that I'm doing.
Yeah. And the one thing I know I took away from competitions is that it gives you that foundation that like just showing up. Like it just like you're like, I don't know what is gonna happen. And just kind of like letting a higher power take over. So it's like all I have to do is show up and the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, exactly. And things, yeah, just show up. Things happen when they're supposed to happen. You got to stay consistent with everything. I think that's just so much what I've learned with everything that I've done in my life is consistency. It's really just like, you got to keep showing up, and that you are going to like, the consistency, obviously that's like, not saying that you're going to not have great days, not have good days. Like you're gonna have bad days. Like
Oh
there's
God.
gonna be bad days. There's gonna be bad weeks. There's gonna be bad weeks. There's gonna be bad everything. But it's staying consistent and even through that and continuing to go past that I think is super important.
Yeah, and I like that. There are bad days. Like there are sometimes you have a bad stretch of weeks, and for you just said it. You're like, you know what? I was traveling. I had this. I had this. I had this, and it wasn't excuses. It was like, it's my freaking life right now. Like
It's understanding that it's like if I really wanted to look back on it and be like, okay, how can I do a little bit better? It was just making sure that for me, I set myself a goal of like, I just want to make sure I'm drinking water every morning.
right.
I know that sounds like super small, but like, it was such a major win every day to just be like, all right, I'm just going to make sure that I drink water every morning. And I really kept up with my routine with journaling. Like that's like a big thing for me as well, like mindset stuff. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do those two things for self-love and self-care. And then the other stuff right now, it's like, it is what it is. It's okay.
Yeah, and what you just said, I absolutely love is that, you have non-negotiables. And even if it's not the gym, it's not food, it's not any of that. It was like, you know what? I know for my own mental health, I need to journal. And I'm like, what is the one thing I know I can do regardless of where I am on this planet? Drink water. Like
drink water, and everyone needs it.
Right. And I love that, because it's like so many people will tell themselves like, oh, I have to do in this list of like 400 things, and it's impossible if you're like traveling, it's the holidays, you're out of your element. But if you like compare it down to just like, all right, here are the two things I know I can do, and I can look at myself in the mirror this evening and say, you know what, I did them, you're winning the day. And I love that, because like when we first started working together, like you would like beat the shit out of yourself for not doing the things, and now you're like, you know what, I got my bare minimums done. I give myself grace for everything else.
I definitely, you're so right. If I go back and think about that, yeah, I definitely beat myself up a lot about it, like all the time. If it was like that perfectionism too, it was like, oh my God, I just want to be perfect. Cause like in school, I think it was a little bit easier to be like perfect, right? Like I would go to class, I would get perfect attendance. I would like do all my notes and my homework and like whatever. And I'm just like, and I feel like that perfectionism like definitely led off into like right after with the competitions, like not wanting to let people down. Like, I don't know. It was just a whole thing, but yeah, I definitely feel like I was super hard on myself. I think being more gentle with yourself is better for you, and you actually get more out of it than being super hard on yourself. When you're super hard on yourself, it just adds to you being stressed, which, if you're already like trying to, lose weight or whatever you're trying to do, like that just adds to water weight and just makes you feel shitty and your energy is whatever. So it's just kind of like it all goes hand in hand.
And it's this never ending cycle, because it's like, if I open the door to beating myself up, like more stuff is just going to fall out of that closet. There's going to be like, whoa, you didn't do this, and then you didn't do this, and you didn't do this, and oh, let's not even go here. And like it just like becomes this,
you
like,
just spiral like into this like craziness. Yeah, I definitely think I'm like a major place where I've grown with like everything, and like I can just see it right now is definitely my mindset on things, and I'm definitely like a lot calmer than I used to be. Again, do I get in those modes where sometimes I get a little anxious about things? Yeah, but I've learned tools to take out of like my toolbox now, where I can center myself back again and come back to like my breath, or come back to something to be like, okay, like it's all right.
But I love that, because it's like so many people think like, I'm going to use the word cured, right? Like they think that like I'm going to arrive at a place, and it's like, no, you never really arrive. But it's like, instead of going down like 50 spirals, you probably you might start going down 40 spirals before you're like, whoa. And then eventually it's now like 30 before you're like, what are you doing? Now it's like maybe like 4 or 5, like, hang on, pump the brakes. Like this doesn't solve any problems. I definitely
handle things like so much better now with like all, like just like we were saying now with like all this, I mean, just like things are so much different than they used to be with the fitness competitions. I mean, I'm so grateful that I did those fitness competitions though. I have people tell me all the time, like, there's a negative connotation for fitness
I
competitions,
know.
which I get. I honestly, I get why there is, but what I found so much like amazing things about myself and others because of it. I mean, I think it's just a community that we've had created that really helps with it. I mean, I definitely think there might be other things out there that aren't as great, but like I, learned about community and being around other women that uplift each other. I learned about feeling more confident in my body, which was a major thing. I was actually, it's so wild. Like everyone will always say to me, like, oh, you have the perfect body. Da, 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 da. I'm like, do you know how like hard it was for me to actually show my body? Like my entire life growing up, I was told that I looked like a man. Like my entire life when I go to modeling gigs, I was told you look like a man. You're too muscular, you're too this. And so it was really tough for me to get up on that stage and walk confidently, like, and the heels, like it seemed like so silly and stupid, but it's like those heels made me feel very feminine and made me feel this confidence that like I never would have had if I didn't do that. So I do feel like there's such a good part of fitness competitions that people don't understand. It's not just about like the bikinis and the heels. There's just so much more to it, I think.
I'm 1,000% in agreement with you, because I think, when I first started, there was no social media. So it was kind of this like shrouded secret. So like you didn't really know much. And then all of a sudden social media blew up and all these people are like, I can only have this morsel and I'm going to go to 4 hours of cardio. And like, you just saw, all the like bad parts of competitions and you didn't see what you just described. It's like you and I, like would I have got out of corporate if I didn't do fitness competitions and I didn't have the confidence in myself? Would I have just been like, all I can do is try, And I'm like, because I was like, once you can wear 2 inches of fabric across your ass in 6-inch clear heels, what else can't you do?
What else? Like, what else are you needing to do at this point in front of these judges that you don't know?
Right. I'm like walking half naked across these randos. Let's not even talk about being naked in front of randos in the dressing room while you put on tanner.
Oh, so that was like, so hard for me because I was that girl always. And then like, again, people just like find it so funny. I was the girl who like, if I was in the gym locker room, and I still do it, I like change in the bathroom stall. Like, I know I like when I went to like New York City and fitness competitions, like everything's out from everybody. Right. And I'm over here just like, I'm going to go to the bathroom stall right now. So like, yeah, getting comfortable with like some of that stuff. But yeah, I was just learning that like being comfortable with your body. And I think that what really came out for me on stage was like, I could be whatever I wanted to be. Like when I was on stage, like no one knew who I was. And I was like, I'm badass. Like I can like, I can strut my confidence. And then even when I did the fitness routines, when I flipped around, which honestly, flipping around, I miss so much. That was my favorite thing. It was like coming up with routines and getting into a character, whatever. I was like, I'm going to be whatever I want to be. Like, so it's so, yeah.
Even when your ass was hanging out on stage.
Oh my God. So yeah, that was a crazy, like, and I look back on these competitions and I'm like, the universe made me go through some stuff. Like, I'm like, thanks.
I remember sitting in the audience and I was like, I think I'm seeing her hiney.
That's good. So basically, I mean, a little bit of the story, and it's so funny because the routine's online, but you can't see that my ass is out. But I was doing this Mad Max routine, which I loved. And I honestly think could have probably been like a winning routine because it was just so fun and cool and different.
Yeah.
Costume was great. I had already done this routine before, mind you, like in a different place. Right. So my costume was fine. There was no malfunctions. Right. And all of a sudden I forget what happened. I did my first flip and my pants fell down and my crack was out in the back, but I couldn't get them back up. And they were like, the fabric was now loose and pulled out. So like, wasn't like an elastic thing. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So I'm performing and thinking this right now. I'm like, it's down. I'm like, it's down. Like it's happening. And I'm like, I could do a few things right now. I could panic and get off the stage. I'm like, I'm going to own the shit out of it. So I just owned it. I did the entire routine with my ass cheek out. The judges later on, like, I think it was like Tony was just like, he's like, honestly, I thought you either knew and you were like, I'm going to own it, or you didn't know at all. And I was like, no, I knew it was happening. But yeah, ass cheek out. But it taught me a lot about like taking things a little less seriously, right? Because I could have been after that, I could have been super upset and like just freaked out. Yeah, I was upset about it, but I laughed at it.
You were more upset. You're like, oh my God, they're going to think I was doing it on purpose. Like that was the only, and I'm like, all right, that's valid reason to be upset. Cause it's like, you don't know like how the judges are going to score you based on that information.
For sure. I also feel like I had to go through so many things with that, right? So I had to do, one of my routines, like I basically broke my foot. That was a stupid thing. So like that was a whole thing. Broke my foot before one of the routines because I was being stupid outside doing handstands and things I shouldn't have been doing. Then the next time, like my ass crack fell out, then like something else. I mean, I forgot exactly the whole stories, but things just kept happening. And all I wanted was that I wanted the title of Miss America. That was my goal. Right. I'm like, I want to get this. And I'm like, universe, why? I'm working so hard. And every time it's like, you're not letting it happen. But let me tell you, when I finally did get it in 2016, I knew that I was meant to get it then. And I knew why. I was supposed to go on that journey. I was supposed to break my foot. My ass crack was supposed to come out because I was so much more proud of that moment that I was on this stage. And I remember like sitting backstage and knowing it was going to be the last time competing. And I was just like, wow, I'm grateful. Like, I'm super grateful. And I think that was like, all right, that was when I was supposed to win. Like that. Yeah. It wasn't supposed to be earlier.
Right. And I love that because it's like, we've always, as a coach, I'm like, the show must go on. I'm like, other than you having a heart attack, just keep going. Like, just make it part of the routine. And you're just like, you just kept going. You just like made it part of the routine.
You can't change it. Like, what are you in control? I wasn't in control of it. I literally could not lift it up.
Right. Short of them being around my ankles, I'm like, I got to keep going. And so, and so I love that. But I also love the fact that it's like, you talked about like walking was a challenge for you because as a gymnast, like everything was very like rigid. And
it's called the pencil.
Right. It was just like, there was no, like, if you like made any other movement that wasn't like vertical, you got marked out. Yeah. But when you come to fitness competitions, we're like, so you have hips, you need to use them. And you're like, hips, I'm not supposed to move my hips. I'm supposed to move in a vertical line. And so you like worked your ass off to learn how to pose. And so not only were you a fitness pro, you're like, could I become a bikini pro?
Yeah, that was so wild. I was like, I never in a million years thought I would have been ever be able to get a pro code for bikini, but we were like, screw it, let's just throw it in there and see what happens. I started to feel more confident. Like,
because I'm like, you were already there. You already had the bikini. Here, so why not? And it's like, we used to always make fitness girls do bikini because it's like helped you loosen up so that before fitness showed up, you were already like, I've already been on stage, so who cares?
I had so much fun with that too, because like, I think it was really the prop. I brought a sword on stage.
Yeah. So it's like, it let you
up with the sword. So I went out there and I was like fighting with the sword, like, I don't know, just having so much fun with it. And then I expected, and it was so interesting about those. I expected nothing. Like I expected to not get, I didn't even think I was going to place. I didn't even care. I was just like, whatever. I got a sword. I'm cool. What did you say one day? Like, what are you going to be? And then you're like, so you're a hot chick with a sword. And I was like, yeah, so yeah.
I'm like, all right. I'm like,
cool. We're going to go with it.
Let me see.
Or how about the bikini show I did where, so Kathy threw me into one where I was in I just gone out of a breakup. She's like, you should do a competition. So I was like, all right. So like, we didn't have anything. I didn't have a bikini put together or anything like that. I just had the shiny, like the sparkling one, but I didn't have like a theme wear or whatever. So I got a $5 yellow bikini and she told me to get an umbrella at Rite Aid. And I walked out and I did this whole thing, and I won. And it was like, it's a confidence. It was so interesting because like I put less pressure on myself for those, yet I won. Yeah. And I started to feel confident in my body. So again, something that I never would do. And again, that helps in so much that I'm doing now, right? Like I'm doing big things with like women's health, big corporations, stuff like that. Like I'm able now that I did all those ridiculous things, like you said, in a bikini and all this stuff like that, to have the confidence to go up and be like, oh, I did this in a bikini. Like I can do this. Like
what else can I do? Right.
Like, I can do this via Zoom.
I love that. And so, how do you feel like as a result of working with me, like how did that make you feel?
Again, I really feel like it just really helped my confidence. And then it just made me feel like I finally had support, which I think support was such a hard thing to find for like the longest time for me. I just like, again, after college sport, I could not find the support that I needed. So I feel like that was really, just really important. And knowing that like you genuinely cared. It wasn't just like this kind of thing where like you sign up for like a program and they just like kind of want your money. It's like, No, you genuinely actually cared. Like you would actually check in. Like there was not like, it was no BS on that end at all.
Yeah. And it's funny because I feel like, we haven't worked together in a couple of years, but like, like I see you on social media. I'm like, hey girl, what's going on with you? And like it's not like me just like, oh, I should say this. Like I genuinely like give a shit. Like I'm excited when good stuff happens for you.
Absolutely. Again, I think that everything that you helped me with really created, like I was saying before, this foundation, this base, again, not only with fitness and not only with my nutrition, not only with all this, it gave me such a great foundation, and you need to have a strong foundation to do anything. So I think that was, I think that's really powerful. I do that now with my clients now, right? I use a lot of what we did. And the first thing we do with my first week of, I teach pull-ups now, which is really fun. But my first week is all about foundation, setting the foundation, setting the stage, setting all that stuff. And I feel like I learned a lot of that from you and what you coached me with to help me with. It's like, you want to give back too, right? Like you have a great coach that helps you. And it's like, you always want to like give back too. It's like, all right, how can I give back and allow someone to feel the way I felt? You know what I mean?
I totally get that. Cause it's like, I think about, we both started in the same program. And I think about, the coaches that I had, back in the day when I was in like high school. And I laugh because it's like some of the stuff that they said to me back then, I don't know if they say that to kids now, or they'd probably be arrested. Like, and like Coach Mailer, like he like rode my ass like a jockey because he knew if he just let me do whatever the hell I wanted to do, I couldn't reach my potential. And so it's like, as a coach, you see it too. Like you see someone and you're like, everyone I see has potential, but it's like, you don't see it. So it's like, I have to be like, all right, I need to help you bring that potential out of you. And regardless of what it is that you want to do, like I have clients that just like, I just want to feel comfortable in my clothes, be able to chase around my kids, right? To people who are like, I want to look hot. Great. We all have something we want.
Absolutely. But yeah, I feel like having someone believe in you when you don't believe in yourself is just so major. Like it just having someone that extra, like when I had, everybody in the fitness competitions, like saying to me like, oh, you should do this. And I'd be like, I should, like, you see me do what? Like, it's so funny. And it's so funny. I still to this day, don't fully see myself like that. I just had a call with someone from London, and she's been just a mentor, just like helping with a few different things to help me get my name out there. And there's a few different things she said to me. Like, she was like, no, Angela, like you're worth it. Like, and I was like, whoa. And just to have someone say that, it's like inside, that you are worth it, but it's like, you have, again, those doubts and stuff like that, that you think you don't, but she finally today was like, she was like, listen, she's like, you have the experience now. Like I've been doing this now for years. This is not just like, I've been doing for like a couple of days. She's like, you have the experience now. You need to own it and use you can do this. Basically, I just needed somebody to say that to me.
Yeah. And it's like, I feel like, no matter how many years you do it, there's still always like this thing in the back of your brain that's like, can I? And then all it takes is like one random person that you don't even have a real relationship with. It's like, well, why can't you do that? And you're just like, wait, okay. Sure.
I had someone the other day say to me, I went to like this like entrepreneur conference thing, and they sat down with me and they were like, your energy is just so great. And I love when people say that to me, your energy comes off. I'm like, oh, I love that. Like, I want people to have good, positive energy for me. Right. And he's like, you know where I see you? And I'm like, where do you see me? He's like, I think I'm going to see you on a billboard. And I'm like, I would never think that would be a thing that would happen. You know what I mean? And it's like, just having someone who's like, they have this confidence in me that like, I could be on a billboard. I'm like, what? Right.
And it's like, because it's like, I love that. Like, you just always have these like crazy ideas. And I'm like, well, if you thought it, why not? And, but I also liked about you had a little bit of patience where, some girls would come and be like, I want to be on the cover of a magazine. I want to be on a billboard, blah, 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 blah. And if they would want it like, ASAP. Right. But it's like, you didn't get your first cover until what was it, last year or the year before?
It was this summer. Yeah. This coming summer. That took since 2015. It's been on my vision board.
Right. So it's like for over 7 years, you're like, it's going to happen. I don't know when. And you just kind of just like, it's just out there in the ether.
And what was super interesting is that I had it on the board, right? And I was pushing for a while real hard. I was going through like messaging all the people from Oxygen Magazine, Strong Magazine, whatever. And I was kind of annoying. I made sure I was annoying, but in a good way.
You have to be,
a little annoying.
On their radar.
Following up, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So finally got on their radar. Then I started helping them a lot. So I was helping Oxygen Magazine with a lot of things, and I wasn't being paid for it. It was like they needed help with like recruiting. I was just Like, I actually believe in this magazine. Let me help. I could tell you guys are basically understaffed. Like, let me help like with whatever I can. I found them photographers, found them makeup artists. I did that with not expecting anything in return. But every year when I pitched something, I would put in there a cover, like a thing I want to cover, like a pitch, cover pitch. I sent one to Strong. I sent one to Auction. It was like a whole thing. Kept sending it in. Then I finally, like the past year, it was just so funny. I finally kind of like gave up on it. I'm like, I really don't think this is going to happen. And it's okay. And I was okay with it. I was like, it's okay. This is not going to define. Like, I don't get
but you felt like, you know what? I put the work in. Like, it wasn't like, I just said, I'm going to be on Oxygen Magazine and like waited for it to like ring your doorbell.
Yeah. And again, I was becoming really happy with the person I'm becoming and how it helped like that. And then randomly I had the call. It was like, yes, this involves a cover. And I was like, whoa, what? And I just like cried. You're like, thank you. I was like, this is absolutely, but that person on that cover though, I have to say, like, again, just like the fitness competition, it had to happen this summer. Like if it happened any earlier, I was not going to be the woman that I wanted to be. Right. The story I have, the article that I have in that magazine, I am so proud of because it's going to help so many people along their journeys. I wouldn't have had that story before. It would have been like, I'm Angela and I do fitness. Like there wouldn't have been like any of this extra stuff that was in there, these experiences, these life experiences. So I just like, I've been coming, it's hard to do this, but I trust that things are supposed to happen when they're supposed to happen. So I always tell myself that when things aren't going my way immediately. It's the same thing with Under Armour. I've been trying to get like a longer term partnership with Under Armour for now a couple of years. And I've been pushing and I've been going overkill on things. And I literally yesterday, I was like, I don't know, same thing. I'm like, I was on my vision board, I just made my vision board. I'm like, I'm not sure if this is going to happen. Got a message. Oh, we loved working with you. We want to do a longer pursuit with you. I'm like, this is crazy. Again, it's just like, it's going to happen. It's supposed to happen, but you have to put the work in, you have to trust. And it's ultimately not about the end thing. It's not about the end cover. It's not about the end award. It's about that in between. Like, how are you handling the in between moment? Are you liking who you're becoming? Are you being a good person? Are you doing good things that are fulfilling you and making you feel good? Because the end thing, the cover doesn't define you at the end of the day. It's exciting, but it's not the important part of it.
Yeah, 1,000%. And so, you know, as I like wrap up this awesome interview, why would someone want to work with me?
I think that someone want to work with you. Definitely. If you're trying to find somebody who's really going to have like, if you really want someone who's going to make you own your shit and step into what you can become, I definitely think that Kim would be the perfect coach for you. Like if you're ready for someone to really, and she's not only going to do that, she's going to go through all the stuff where you're at right now to determine where you want to go and take you step by step through that and give you that accountability and support. So if you feel like you need that and you need that extra tough love, you don't want that, oh, it's okay. Oh, if you didn't show up, it's whatever. If you want that extra, hey, you know what? You didn't show up today. What's happening? Like, what do we got to do? Like, let's figure this out type of thing. If you want someone like that, I definitely think that you'd be a perfect fit. And everybody works different with everybody. So you got to figure out who's going to really take you. But I know that Kim will put everything into you.
Yeah, I will pour everything I got into you and keeping my fingers crossed that you are like ready to do the work.
Yeah, you ultimately have to do the work ultimately. And it might take a little while for you to do it. And it might take but she will be there the whole time asking you to do it.
Angela, thank you so much for taking your time today. Magic Maker, she's absolutely fabulous. Where can they find you on the socials?
You can find me on social and Angela _Gargano, GARGANO. Always you can reach out to me at any time, any questions. I always get back to everybody. That's like what it's there for. Right. Yeah, that's what it's there for. So you can always reach out to me. And if you're ever interested in like getting your pull up, which is one of the main things that I do, you can go to pulluprevolution.com. My main focus with things right now is helping people revolutionize the way they feel about their body by getting their pull up, which is like the impossible facts what we were talking about before. So when I get your pull up, I got you.
Yeah. And I just feel like when I first did my first pull up, like that, I just felt like on top of the world. Like I was
it's so powerful. It's not just the pull up. There's so much more to it. Like, yeah,
it's like I felt like I climbed Everest and I didn't have to put on a winter coat.
Yeah. After that, you're like, I can quit my job. I can do this.
Right. You're like, I could run for president. Like you can do anything. Like even if it was the ugliest pull up ever, you're like, I did it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. This is awesome. And you guys definitely follow her. She has some really funny reels on there. And you might have saw the kitty in the back of the video. Like, she's a crazy cat lady. And I'm sure when she finally finds her permanent home, she will get more of her crazy cats.
I'm just babysit now.